Hi, I'm Alex. Today, I'm just going to do something real quick. It's actually just a quick update to the stories I've been working on, my novel, that sort of thing. I know I don't talk about it a whole lot on this channel, but... So, the first thing I want to talk about is my full-length novel, and it is the one that, once it's done, I intend to follow through with trying to find a publisher for. And that is Blood Brothers, or at least that's the working title. That might change later. I am on chapter 12 of the intended 20 chapters. It is in the drafting phase. I don't think I mentioned that, but it is in the drafting phase. We're looking at it being... I am looking at it being about 130,000 words when it's done prior to edits. That's just my estimate based on how much I've written currently and how much more I still have to go. It is currently sitting at about 72,000-ish words at the moment. There are definitively scenes that I really like. I've actually found it very useful to highlight, because I am typing it in Scrivener, to highlight in red the areas that I know are going to need more research, or that I know just straight up is the wrong word or the wrong information. And then I'll go and in pink, I'll highlight the lines that I really like. Like, there are some things I'm like, oh, that's really funny, let's keep that. And I'll highlight those in pink. So when I go through the edits, I'll kind of have an idea of what is going on. But I have noticed that there are scenes that I am just writing to get them out because they need to be there, but are going to need heavy edits later on. This story is actually a departure from a lot of the things I've written. There is quite a bit of violence, which is generally something I don't write and I'm not generally comfortable with. I just wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone in that respect. Oh, I guess I probably should say it. For those who haven't heard of it from any of my previous videos, Blood Brothers is basically it's a novel about found family and creating those family bonds, with the backdrop of them being vampires and paid mercenaries, killers, information finders. They'll do what you need for the right price. But the story itself focuses on the family relationships that are forming in the group. At the moment, I've actually just gotten done writing a couple of scenes that are on the more emotional side. And I have been finding that the more I get into it, it's actually very difficult for me to kind of write. And while I like what I'm writing, I can definitely see that there's going to be some really heavy edits going on, a lot of rewriting of scenes to just make them fit and flow better. So it still has a ways to go yet, and I think that it will take quite a bit of time before it gets there. But I have high hopes for it. There's enough scenes that I really like where they're going that I think it has potential. Next project. And yes, I'm actually working on 3 projects. And that's insane. I know. Too many projects going on at once, but the next project I'm working on is less a single but story, but is currently focused. So I intended, if any of you saw my goals video, I intend on writing 12 short stories this year. Originally it was going to be 1 a month, but I realized that wasn't happening. So, but the current short story I'm working on is called Fanciful Logic. It is a retelling and continuation of Alice in Wonderland. It is part of a project of short stories I'm working on that are all retellings, but the retellings where it's LGBT retellings of the stories we know. So, fanciful logic. It's about 40 to 50% written. It is taking on a more long format, probably heading more into your later high teens, almost hitting that 20,000 mark by the time it's done. So it is taking much longer than I intended for it to take. But I am about 40 or 50% there. The struggle with this story is completely real. I did not think that when I changed up what I changed up in this story, that it would make it as complicated as it did. And in saying that, that also means it will need some major revisions. I can already tell there are scenes in that story that while they serve their purpose, they would do better to either be incorporated into another scene or just be completely rewritten for flow. Just the pacing on this story is all messed up. And while I definitely think that once it's been edited, it'll be nice and really good story, right now trying to write this thing is a nightmare. So the final story I'm working on is entitled Full Circle. Again, this is a working title. At the moment, that title has nothing to do with anything. I don't even know why I gave it that title. I just needed something to call it. This story is a high fantasy story. If you watched my video about creating a map, this is the story that I was talking about in that video. This story is in the planning process because I would like to have a very rich background to it. This is my experiment in creating a Tolkien-esque sized world. So there is a lot of backstory and planning that has to go into it first before I can ever write it. What I've got so far, I've got agriculture. I've got a general idea of the non-human races that are going to be in it. I've got a general idea of trade. I have a story premise. I have character premises. I haven't even done detailed work on them. I have a general idea of the divide in the human race. That being the what I'm currently calling Shades and Openlanders. That is not their final names. I don't know what they're going to be called yet. I haven't worked that out. Basically, the ones who live in the corrupted areas versus the ones who live outside that and in the clean areas. Which, by the way, I've discovered I have started making the Openlanders just the worst. Like, not the people themselves. The people are just, they're people. It's a thing. But, like, the government and the people in charge, I have just made them the worst. So I have a lot of general ideas going on for that and a lot of premises. There is still a long way to go on it. I am probably going to start. I've gotten about halfway through figuring out the basics of the magic system. I will probably finish up the magic system relatively soon and then either work on the main characters to figure them out, or I will get into the non-human races and figuring out all of their civilization thing going on. Also dragons. Because always add dragons. That is where I'm at now with the stories I'm working on. Let me know where you are in your story. Are you working on multiple stories at once? Have you come up with some really clever thing? Are you struggling with your stories? Let me know where you're at. I will see you in my next video. Bye!